Episode 10 of Married at First Sight. We saw quite a bit from our couples this week. Was it really a big week? No, not really. Probably not nearly as explosive as last week, but still, I think there's a lot of little details to talk about with all of our couples. As always, we'll go through one couple as a time. And I would love to hear all of your comments on what you thought about tonight's episode, what you think about what do you think about the couples this season. All right, let's get into our first couple. Let's start with Lindsey and Mark. Started off on a pretty bad note for these two, I would say, where we saw Lindsey talking with one of her friends, and she's basically just roasting Mark. She's only telling one side of the story, taking no accountability for anything on her end, and just blaming everything on Mark. Often that happens when you talk to your friends. It's you kind of embellish things and tell stories and whatnot in your favor because you're looking for someone to be on your side. And that was exactly what Lindsey was doing here. When she just tells her side of the story, wow, it sure makes Mark look like the bad guy. But we saw the whole story, so we know better. I guess Mark isn't getting it done for Lindsey, and thankfully, Lindsey was here to tell the entire world all about it. Because you know what? If I ever have any issues in my marriage, damn sure I want my wife going on national TV to tell everyone about it. That's who she's been all season long. She likes to go the vile, crass route on everything, and of course she's bad mouthing Mark's abilities in the bedroom because that is who she is. No accountability for Lindsey. She just doesn't view that she's part of the problem. She doesn't take any responsibility for what's gone on or what's gone poorly in that relationship. And you know what? That just makes those problems even worse. What was the good? They at some point here they asked, "How do you feel about your marriage?" And just laughed about it. Just laughed about it. Think those are the two people in the marriage. How do you feel about your marriage? And just couldn't even come up with anything to say. Just laughing about it. I think Lindsey was drunk during that meeting with Dr. Viviana. Not surprising, she's had issues with alcohol all season long. Seems to be a crutch and a weakness for her that has not been a good look for her. If you're not able to handle your alcohol or you're a binge drinker, over drinker, or whatever it is, probably not ideal for you to sign up for an 8-week televised show. It's just ridiculous. Said this before, but she's just a vile person. We've seen it over and over and over again. And Dr. Viviana basically trying to teach Lindsey lessons that you would teach to someone who was in kindergarten. Oh, be nice to the people around you. Don't say mean things. If you have a problem, let's talk about it. She needs those lessons because she's clearly not learned them in her entire life. She should not need to be told that you don't need to treat people like crap, especially people that you're supposed to love and care about. The Nerf fight might be the only nice moment for these two for the entire season. They had their fun little 30-second moment, and we can just go back to the absolute nightmare of a relationship. Mark, he seemed real great with that ball gag in his mouth. Seemed like just an extremely uncomfortable situation for him. Was very clearly not his thing. And as we progress through that little sex-related exercise with them, I starting to get the impression that Lindsey is a bit of a bully. I don't know if anybody else picked up on that, but the camera and the writing on the face, they both seemed targeted and very intentional to try and hurt or embarrass Mark. You know, that's what she was trying to do there. He was clearly uncomfortable in those moments, and, you know, she tried to take advantage of that. And then what, like later on, we had Lindsey talking about like her dating history and what she likes, and it was just bizarre. Like, who are these men who are just actively wooing and pursuing Lindsey? Like, she's making it sound like, oh, all these bigwigs and high rollers, they're all coming after me. You know, they're all spending money on me. And I'm just sitting there like, what? No, I doubt it. I doubt it. Like, we've seen you. We saw who you were like immediately. There's nobody who's actively pursuing you on that level. It's just not a reality that the rest of us live in. All right, let's move on from Mark and Lindsey. I would say no real improvement in their relationship this week. So let's move on and talk about our villain from last week, and that is Isaac and Katina. Katina, not the villain, just Isaac, just to be clear. I'm sure you all know that, but right out of the gate, we're starting to see that Isaac's verbal abuse tactics, they seem to be working to tear down Katina. And it's like that should not be your goal in a relationship. It doesn't even matter like if it's like a marriage or whatever, or just a friendship. Like, you shouldn't, your goal shouldn't be, well, I'm just going to beat this person down so that they do exactly what I want and how I want. That should not be how any relationship works at all whatsoever. You know, Isaac, he's back on the cooking and cleaning. You know, he's got a wife now, so obviously he needs all those warm meals every night. You know, why is he even in a marriage if he's not getting free meals? You know, his goal and words are just so twisted, and you know, we're seeing him bring up these examples of Katina not living up to his standards, but he never talks about what he's doing to step up for her. You know, and it's never about, oh, Katina was doing this and this is what I did to help her. You know, it's never about that. It's all about, oh, Katina didn't do this for me. Katina didn't do this for me. And it's just shows like how self-centered and narcissist Isaac is. You know, Isaac accusing Katina of being selfish, comical, absolutely comical, because he's the one who's just thinking about himself in this relationship. He's thinking about what she can do for him, not what they can do as a couple. Isaac was doing everything in his power to make sure Katina did not talk while Dr. Viviana was there. You know, she did, to Dr. Viviana's credit, finally let Katina address something. But you know, we saw who he was. We saw how he's going to treat her, and that's not going to go away in the next 5 weeks. I did not like Dr. Viviana saying that all of this was revealing her faults. You know, that she's still focused on Katina's faults, and that there's no fault here. Her not cooking a meal for him every night is not a fault of Katina, and a little disappointed to hear Dr. Viviana word things that way. To me, all of this, what it's revealing is that Isaac is a sexist pig. It's not revealing Katina's faults, it's revealing Isaac's. He just doesn't get it. He just does not understand. He doesn't know what a marriage is. He doesn't know what a relationship is. He just does not get it. A marriage is way more than cooking and cleaning, and honestly, those are close to the least important parts of a marriage. If you're having arguments that ends in tears over cooking and cleaning, you've got way deeper issues than cooking and cleaning. When you verbally abuse someone and don't get the reaction you want, Isaac, that is not on Katina. You know, you're trying to break her down, tear her down, and then you're upset that she's not reacting to you the way you want. That's not how that works. And then we hit a point in the episode tonight, and all of a sudden Isaac is a homebody. Like what? Weren't we sold that he's this party boy? That he's this outgoing party boy, and now all of a sudden he's just I'm just a stay-at-home kind of low-profile kind of guy. And I'm like, where did this come from? Where did this come from? And Katina sets up that nice evening for him, and even in that nice light moment, his quips were still terrible. What did he say? I didn't think you listened to me. You know, in that nice, lighthearted, very loving moment between them, I didn't think you listened to me. So even like those little shots, that's where his mindset is at. That in his mind, she's not doing these things for him. She's not listening to him. That's what's in his mind. And just everything about this man just brings me down. The sexy time package just didn't seem that sexy to me. It really didn't. The face mask, the leash, whatever it was that Katina was wearing, just didn't do it for me. And then they followed it up with Isaac's sensual massage. No, do not massage me here on the side. Do not do that. That looked terrible. Like that looked just awful. You want to massage somebody's back? Great. But like, I don't know. No, why are you massaging here? Stop it, Isaac. Stop it. Keep your hands away from there. All right, we are done with those two, and let's move on to Jasmina and Michael. These two, I think, have some deep issues. You know, we're basically ended a month in. We're not quite, but let's just call it a month into the relationship. Halfway through their journey, you know, they're not really able to handle any form of conflict. They just can't. They're just terrible at it. There's no level of intimacy, like none. We did see that develop a little bit this episode, but you think that you're dating someone for 4 weeks and you're not holding hands, that's not a good sign. You're not even just sharing like very, very nice, polite kisses with each other. Not a good sign. We see them arguing near the start, and it was when Dr. Viviana was there, and Jasmina just keeps talking over Michael. Just kept doing it over and over and over and over again. And she's trying apparently, and Michael isn't. And I just don't believe that's what we've seen this season. You know, we go back to the honeymoon, and Michael probably said some things that he shouldn't have said. And I get the vibe that Jasmina is going to hold those moments over him forever. That in her mind, he has to be perfect and she doesn't. It just that is just the vibe that I get. That she's going to hold Michael to a certain standard, and then she doesn't need to have that same standard for herself. The moment journaling was mentioned, I just knew it was going to backfire on Michael. Like as soon as that suggestion was made, I'm like, this is going to blow up. Like either what she's going to think it's stupid, which is what ended up happening, or he's going to do it and he's going to share what he journaled with her, and it's going to turn into a huge fight. Well, Michael, you don't have to worry about the journaling because we didn't even get that far. And it's really sad because these two do have glimmers that they're good together. But then we hit the first bump in the road and they have to reset everything back to square one. I said it already, but there should be some sort of physical connection at this point. And then when they argue, it's just like Jasmina gets into argument mode and just can't agree with him. Like they could be arguing and Michael could say, you know what, I think the sky is blue. And she's going to find some way to disagree with him. Well, no, actually at sunset, it turns a little pink, so you're wrong and I'm right. No, just like you don't always have to be right, Jasmina. Jasmina is here and she's saying it's Michael's way or no way. And I'm just sitting there thinking, like, were you even part of the same conversation that we watched? Like he's saying like, hey, here's something that we can do to improve our relationship. Here's something I would like to try to do to improve our relationship. And Jasmina is storming out, is like talking over him, talking down to him. And I'm just like, what reality is she living in? Because it's not the one we're watching. Jasmina comes back and tells Michael that he needs to work on his listening moments after she wasn't listening. Like, just absolutely absurd. Like when we get in those moments, it is just not possible to satisfy Jasmina. Communication is just not going to improve for these two when Jasmina doesn't want to listen to anything she disagrees with. We did end the episode on a little bit more positivity for these two. We had the tantric yoga, which was like basically the first time they've touched all season long. It seemed really, really good for them. Jasmina seemed to relax in those last moments, listen a little bit, actually share in a healthy manner, share some concerns in a healthy, non-confrontational manner. That was great for both of them. Like as long as we can stay in those lighter moments, these two are good together. All right, our last couple, Noi and Steve. Very much appreciated that Noi is aware that she shuts down during conflict and the way she shuts down is not healthy. And she did say that, the reason she does that is she does not want to say something she's going to regret. And that's great, but what's worse? Having an outburst and maybe saying something hurtful, or ghosting your partner for 24 hours, refusing to make any sort of response to them at all whatsoever. To me, the 24 hours of cold shoulder, way more hurtful. Like you'd have to say something pretty horrific for it to be worse than what Noi did. And she's, in my opinion, lucky that Steve isn't lording that over her. I feel like many of the other people in the other couples, they would be using that as the anchor point for every single argument or disagreement that they got into. Noi's still on this. Steve doesn't want to work, and it just really shows that she's just not willing to understand or compromise Steve at all whatsoever. Yes, Steve probably does need to make some money. He probably does. And I just feel like he maybe should be doing more in that regard, just because it's such a concern for Noi. But Noi needs to have a little bit of compromise there as well. This is turning into 3 kids all over again. And then when they're talking about it, Steve's tactic should not have been, well, do you like my cooking and cleaning? No, that's not what your strategy should have been there, Steve. That, well, I don't need to have a job because I've been cooking and cleaning for you. Well, that was not the best tactic there, I don't think. So many other ways that probably should have went, but that was the route that Steve decided to go down. Hearing all of that, thought to myself, maybe there's a wild idea here. Maybe we pair up Isaac and Steve. Steve's doing all those things that Isaac's looking for. So why not? Let's get them together, maybe. I don't have much else to say about these two. They're just Noi and Steve. They're kind of our boring couple right now. Let's just be honest. So we're gonna wrap things up for this week. As always, everybody, thank you so much for watching, and until next week, we will see you later.